Annunciation Radio presents Faith Alive, highlighting the many ways Catholic Charities here in the Diocese of Toledo provides love and support for those in need. And now, your host for Faith Alive, Executive Director of Catholic Charities in Toledo, Rodney Schuster.
Hello and welcome to Faith Alive, the program that shares how the love of Jesus Christ is provided through the ministries of Catholic Charities throughout the Diocese of Toledo. I'm your host, Rodney Schuster, Executive Director for Catholic Charities, and today we have another awesome program. We are going to be talking about the third annual Hands of Christ Gala. And for those of you who aren't aware, it's on November 5th. It will be at the Premier, which is on Heather Downs Boulevard in Toledo. You can go to Catholic Charities website, catholiccharities.nwo.org, to find out more information. We're currently looking for sponsors to help, provide necessary resources for the work that we do at Catholic Charities. And today's a special program because we get to introduce you, and some of you don't need an introduction, to Rich and Connie Cronin and Pat and Patti McNamara, who are really engaged in this annual event. And our first guests are going to be Rich and Connie because they are the presenting sponsors for the third year in a row. And I think even just more special is Rich and Connie are going to be the recipients of the Hands of Christ Award. And for those of you who don't know, the Hands of Christ Award, we started this about 3 years ago, and it's to recognize people who help Catholic Charities and help in many ways. And Rich and Connie have been involved as volunteers, have been involved in financial support, as promoting and been ambassadors to the work that we do at Catholic Charities. And without, folks like Rich and Connie, Pat and Patti, Catholic Charities could not do the work that we do. And so we're so blessed to have that partnership, to have special people to help our ministry because, the people that we serve we're trying every day to help be a Christ-like figure and help change their lives. So I want to introduce Rich and Connie. Welcome to Faith Alive.
Hello, Rodney. How are you today?
I am great, Rich.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So I just want to I think some people wonder, wow, you guys are so busy. You're involved in multiple, initiatives. It could be St. Joan of Arc, Food Pantry. It could be the Catholic Community Foundation. It could be Catholic Charities Board. And then you have a business to run. Your parents, soon to be grandparents, weddings of daughters. You got all kinds of things going on. Why do you, take additional time to help folks like Catholic Charities?
Well, I think it's part of our faith. It's part of the way we were raised and grew up. I think it's pretty simple. We give everything to God first, and then we help one another. And those are Jesus' two commandments, love God and love your neighbor. So, and there's no really easier way to love our neighbor than to help Catholic Charities, because that is the best way to do it.
Beautiful. Connie, how about you?
I would say we really fell in love with Catholic Charities a long, long time ago, just in doing different works or volunteers and seeing things that Catholic Charities has done over the years. And then, several years ago, God blessed us tremendously with our business. And so we really made a conscious decision that we were going to continue to support Catholic initiatives, and Catholic Charities is one of the top ones.
And that's awesome, and it's so beautiful. And recently at our Catholic Business Network meeting, we had Tony Moss, who runs a company as well, and of course him and the tie-in with Father Nathan Cromley, and about how he and you and Pat and Patti tie in your faith and what God's called you to do, and to do like all kinds of things. And I just think it would be easy just to say, oh yeah, well, we've got a business to run and we got our other responsibilities, and that's good. We're doing God's work. But you two do so much more. And what a great gift it is, not only to Catholic Charities, but to our entire diocese. And Rich, I always hearken back to when you guys at the dealership started having the Lenten series. And I mean, that was, I mean, how many years ago was that? And I just think it has just continued, you know, with you and Connie and your efforts to evolve, and just some amazing things that your guys are doing in our Catholic diocese.
Yeah, well, we bought our business about 11 years ago. And so after we bought our business, we made the conscious decision that we are going to support organizations that first are Catholic, second are evangelical, they preach the gospel, and third, they're excellent at what they do. They're very good at what they do. And so that kind of led us to you, Rodney, and to Catholic Charities. And I remember those early days when we had you to the dealership and you came and met with our employees, and I said, this is what we are going to support. And our employees kind of jumped on board. You know, we've had different food raisers over the years, and clothing drives and things like that with our employees. And after we bought the dealership, we had Father Adam Hertzfeld come and bless our organization, and because it is a gift from God, and we, you know, we give thanks to God for all He's done in our life, and so I think by dedicating our business to God, it's just made it easier for us to be involved with a lot of initiatives, like we started with that early Lenten luncheons that we did, and that was early an initiative from Father Adam as well. And ultimately, you know, we were able to support Catholic Charities with the Catholic Business Network, and then I came onto the board after that as well. So it's been a great 11 years.
Beautiful. You're listening to Faith Alive, and I'm your host, Rodney Schuster, and our guests are Rich and Connie Cronin. We're talking about the annual Hands of Christ Gala, the third annual, which will be on November 5th. Put on your calendars. Go to our website, CatholicCharitiesNWO.org, if you want more information. We're looking for sponsors, so boy, if you are interested, Jim Wahlberg's going to be our speaker, and he's a film producer and screenwriter, and as many of us do in our lives, has had some challenges, has had some things that he's had to overcome despite the family that he's a part of, and you're going to want to hear his story. And of course, as always, our Bishop Daniel Thomas will be there, who supports Catholic Charities in so many ways. So you won't want to miss it. You know, if you want to sponsor a table, start working on it. Go to our website. There's sponsorship forms to help do that. So love to see you there. You know, Connie, one of the things that we know that in our faith and as parents, and I always especially think of mothers, you know, how our children carry on the faith. And you've got some really, you and Rich have got some special, you know, kids that just do some amazing things as well. Share a little bit about some of the work that they're doing.
Oh, well, thank you for that, Rodney. I don't know, sometimes Rich and I say that we are where we are in our faith because our kids brought us along. I think it was a family growth over the years that brought us all closer to Christ. So, yeah, we have 3 children. Our youngest is Charlie, married to his beautiful bride, Eileen. They were married last summer, and wouldn't you know it, they're expecting a baby in May. Woo-hoo. So we're very excited about that. Then we have our middle daughter, Maddie. Maddie has been with Damascus Catholic Youth Summer Camp for, I don't know, I think this is her 8th summer.
Wow.
She'll be running the Michigan camp this year. They've been expanding. So she is in charge of all of the programming staff, everybody that's on stage, everybody that's giving a talk or running a high ropes course, is going to be reporting to Maddie for the 2nd year. So lots of energy and excitement is the requirement for that job. So she's just a beautiful soul. And then our oldest daughter, Abby. Abby is 29. She had gone to University of Cincinnati, and at that time, in those years is the time that Rich had some challenges with his health, and she really encountered some great people there at the Newman Center, and particularly with St. Paul's Outreach. So after college, she did 4 years with St. Paul's Outreach. Wow. Serving on Catholic, or not Catholic campuses, but on university campuses. She was in Minnesota for a while and then back at University of Cincinnati. So she's settled in Cincinnati, and she is now engaged. So, this weekend we're not only having a baby shower, but we're going to be looking for wedding dresses.
And I love that. And I think it's just, again, I always look at all of us in Catholic ministry as a family, and to share our families and what they're doing, and especially, those who still love the faith, are embraced in the faith and engaged in the faith as your children are. It's a great gift. And it's also, I think, a testimony to both of you as parents. And because it doesn't come usually without that, support, without that guidance, without how you role modeled it as parents. And, praise be to God that, and I'm blessed as well to see our children to carry that, because not everybody can say that. And it's not because of I'm any better than other people, or we're any better. It's just the circumstances in life happens, as we know. So praise be to God when we have, we're able to celebrate that. So that's great. We have a couple minutes left. So I just want to ask you real quickly. And I know you are both so humble, but what do you think about receiving the Hands of Christ Award?
I think it's, to tell you the truth, a little bit difficult because it's neither of us expect to receive any award or anything. So I in that respect, I don't love it.
I know.
But with that being said, I just think back to last year and Jim Mead's receiving the award, and I was so blessed by him receiving it. I pray that we can be as good a recipient as him. And I just think about what he said, and he got up and he just said, God has blessed me so much in my life. I am so thankful for all that God has done in my life. And we know that Jim just passed away in the last month or two. And so, yes, God bless us. So I was so happy to be there last year with him. I pray that we can be an example to somebody as well.
Amen. Connie?
Rich said it well. I don't know. I think we're the kind of people that are happy to be in the back of the room.
Yeah.
We're outgoing and like to talk to people, but I'd much rather be in the back of the room anonymous when these things are happening. But I just pray that perhaps the example of what we're doing encourages someone else to step out in faith and to just be the hands of Christ.
Beautiful. Thank you both so very much. And I will just share with both of you, everyone who we've asked to be Hands of Christ Award recipients, and no doubt it's the humility. None of them wanted to be receiving it either. So thank you for having the courage to say yes. Hey, we're going to head to break. Coming up will be Pat and Patti McNamara. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Shop with a purpose at your St. Vincent de Paul Toledo thrift store, now located in the Airport Square Shopping Center, right next to Pet Supplies Plus at Airport and Reynolds. Shop and save on a huge selection of quality, gently used clothing, housewares, and lots of unique finds. Every purchase helps us help our neighbors in need. We welcome your donations of clothing and other items. The St. Vincent de Paul Toledo thrift store, Airport at Reynolds, open for you Monday through Saturday.
Annunciation Radio presents Faith Alive, highlighting the many ways Catholic Charities here in the Diocese of Toledo provides love and support for those in need. And now, your host for Faith Alive, Executive Director of Catholic Charities in Toledo, Rodney Schuster.
Welcome back to Faith Alive. I'm your host, Rodney Schuster, Executive Director for Catholic Charities in the Diocese of Toledo. Our show today is focused on the Hands of Christ Gala, our third annual one, which will be on November 5th at the premiere on Heather Downs. You can go to our website, CatholicCharitiesNWO.org, to find out more information. We're still looking for sponsors, and it's going to be another great event. We're hoping to have 500 to 600 people there. And the reason why we're able to do such great events And you heard Rich and Connie Cronin on the first hour, who have been presenting sponsors. And, of course, they're going to be the recipients of the Hands of Christ Award this year, along with Dennis Campbell from Mansfield. But the reason why we're able to do such great events is because we've got great supporters, great friends. And now I'd like to introduce Pat McNamara and Patty Savage McNamara, who not only help Catholic Charities, but help the Catholic community in our diocese, and have been doing it for a number of years. For those of you who don't know, Pat and Patty own the Archibald Furniture Company, also the American Crafter Furniture Store, a retail store right here in Holland, Ohio, where we record this show. And they have been an integral part of helping Catholic Charities for a number of years. They are hosting the third Friends for Life event that's coming up in May, where we promote life and the dignity of life and protection of life. Patty recently joined our board of directors at Catholic Charities, and they decided this year to be the sponsor for our keynote speaker, Jim Wahlberg, who's going to talk about his story, his struggle, and how he is fighting the battle, a lifelong battle. So without further ado, Pat and Patty, welcome to Faith Alive.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Well, let's start with you, Patty. So, you recently joined our board, and I want to share, too, you talk about people helping, and financial support's great, but Pat and Patty do that, but they do so much more. They were there last year at our Shoe Fest at Helping Hands of St. Louis and helping wash feet, dry feet, get shoes, and do all that. They host their Friends for Life, and then they get engaged in our board. So, and then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. Patty was one of the founders, if you will, of the food pantry at St. Joan of Arc, which does amazing work as well. So, Patty, let me start with you. What in your heart, why do you do all these unbelievable things?
Well, thank you. But I believe being raised by my mom and dad, they were just great witnesses to how we are supposed to act on this planet and how we are to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. So I'm just trying to model what they showed us growing up.
But you could still, they modeled that, but then it takes action. So I'm sure you have days when you're tired. You have days that you're like,
yes.
I don't want to deal with this, maybe challenges, but you still do it. Why?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think our faith asks us to do that. And so I don't know.
And Pat, how about you? Because I know, and not only you're involved in the things we mentioned, but Father Nathan Cromley and his leadership series, you're involved in that. And again, that's Catholic. These are Catholic initiatives that are so beautiful. What stirred in your heart to do it?
For us, it really goes back to, and Patty alluded to her parents, but you think we were both raised, family of 10 in a Catholic community, and when your family's that big, the community raises you, and Patty from a family of 9. So we've been blessed. Our kids, all 5 of our kids had an incredible Catholic education, and they're doing very well today, I think, based on the partnering with us to help us raise them. But also, when we see somebody like yourself, Rodney, an incredible example for us and your staff. I mean, you have so much talent, and you could have chose various career paths. And here, not only are you supporting your family here, but you're supporting so many other families. So we just sit back in awe of this, doing our little part to support your great efforts.
Yes, and I do want to say that when Father Adam Hertzfeld came to Connie Cronin and I and asked us to start a food pantry 10 years ago at St. Joan of Arc, one of the first people I called was Rodney Schuster, because I had no idea how to start a food pantry, and you were gracious enough to sit down with us, give us advice, show us what we needed to do, and I'll never forget that, and I always appreciated that as well.
Oh, God bless you. And again, I love and just you're inspired by both of you and your courage to get involved in things. And you're doing this while you're running a furniture store and opening a retail store. And then it's like, we're going to be at the food pantry. We're going to be on the board of Catholic Charities. We're going to host an event at our house. It's just amazing. And praise be to God, because without folks like you, we couldn't do the things that we do.
It's true.
And it's a great gift, and I think it's just what a blessing is to share that, you know, it's deep rooted, you know, in your upbringing, and that you're doing it, and what a great gift.
And it's interesting you say upbringing. You know, Patty's father. You think of the people that have supported our Catholic community. Anybody more than John Savage, and so Patty's got it in her blood. And there's a couple of things that, you know, Father or John Savage said is you can't take it to your grave.
Yeah.
And then the other is give and give and give until it feels good. So you say, well, Patty, why do you exhaust yourself? She exhausts herself because it does feel great. You know, when we were down putting shoes on a 10-year-old and a $10 pair of shoes, and she jumps up and she's jumping high in the air and she's dancing and the smile on her face and the satisfaction, how proud she was, and you allowing us to participate in that. Yes, you come home some days and you're absolutely exhausted, but then you think about the smiles and how you've impacted others, and I always say there's not a better payday than see the smile and the impact that you can have on others, whether it be a worker or what they do for their families. It's a great payback that we get.
Well, and it's beautiful, and I know, you know, just that need. You know, there's that human need to give and to receive, and I sometimes think the giving is better than the receiving. I don't know about both of you.
I agree.
And I just, you know, it's just, it's such a, when you see a smile, like you mentioned, on a young girl's face, a young boy's face who's got, you know, new socks and new shoes, and jump up in the air, or you see somebody at the abortion clinic who says, yeah, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to the sidewalk counselor, and you know what? We can take you to the pregnancy center or to Heartbeat, and you know, hopefully save a life. I mean, you just say, wow, God, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be an instrument.
Exactly.
Correct.
And I think that's something that, you know, I'd like to ask both of you. It kind of comes full circle, right? Our faith, and then now our faith in action and being like Jesus. How has your faith helped both of you in the midst of sometimes, you know, there's heartache, there's struggles, there's pains, there's challenges. How is it, you know, and I'll start with you, Pat.
I tell you what, you know, we went to the Catholic Business Network 7 years ago, and our great Bishop Daniel Thomas, gave an incredible talk on servant leadership and how you be a servant leader in the community, at home, and at work. And we heard Tony Moss this morning. You know, your business is your ministry is your business, and then from there we rolled Father Nathan Cromley into our business. And it's amazing when we put the business in God's hands, and he helped us establish core values that have come to define our culture. And our culture is a very Christian culture. I made the comment yesterday that when things really took a turn for the positive for the company, we didn't change designs or come out with a brand new great bestseller. What we changed were attitudes. And the attitudes we changed was a very Christian attitude, and it brought people together. And that same product we used to build, we're just building it better, with more love, and with that comes more sales. So as well as things that we've given ahead it's the right thing to do with your Christian faith, but we've been paid back 10 times because of that.
And I think what's beautiful about that is that we don't do it. It's not a conditional thing.
No.
We aren't saying, hey, we're going to do this and God's going to pay us back, because there's going to be crosses. But we do it because God put us in this spot at this time, at this moment to do it. Patty, you were going to say.
I agree. And I also wanted to add that we have been so blessed by the priests in our lives. And Father Nathan Cromley is one great example. He's become a dear friend and would just tell anyone to listen to him. Go listen to his podcasts. He is just so wonderful. But Father Adam Hertzfeld and Father Eric at St. Joe's Maumee and Father Doug Garan really impacted our family with our son, Brennan, in youth group back in the day. So we've just walked with so many wonderful priests, Father Dan Duran. I mean, there's too many. I shouldn't have even started mentioning them, but
Yeah, and we have to pray for them,
Exactly.
because they are, as pulled so in so many directions, and so we need to pray for them. And just a real quick side note: Father Adam Hertzfeld is the
Yes.
reason I ended up at Catholic Charities.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, because I said, "Hey, pray for me." I was at Cherry Street after leaving the for-profit world, and I said, "Pray for me. I don't know what my next steps are. Should I go back in the for-profit? Should I stay at Cherry Street?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'll gladly pray for you, Rodney." And then it was within 3 weeks, I got an email, and it says in the subject line, "A perfect opportunity." It was the Catholic Charities position.
Wow.
So, yeah, but once again, I mean, Father Adam just everywhere.
Father Adam, it all comes back.
But it all comes back, but it's just a beautiful, I think, example of our faith in action.
Agree.
And so how blessed we are to do that. And once again, our event is coming up on November 5th. We're looking for sponsors. You can go to CatholicCharitiesNWO.org. You'll see the Hands of Christ Gala. And Pat and Patti, again, thank you for all that you do. And I listed all the things, but it's just such a blessing to our ministry and ultimately to the people we're serving. And we thank you for being a sponsor of Jim Wahlberg for our Hands of Christ Gala. And, hope that you and your business continues to prosper, continues to be successful. And if you're looking for furniture, go to the American Crafter Furniture Store and check it out. And where is it? Guys,
Right next to Hobby Lobby.
Right next to Hobby Lobby. Check it out. And I think it's important that, I always want to mention that folks that are supporting us, they aren't doing it because of payback. But my goodness, let's go out and support the people that are supporting these special causes. So
Thank you.
So thank you
Well,
both.
thank you, Rodney. We can cut back on our marketing budget now. But no, and we end it by saying, Rodney, once again, the example you set for so many people here in Northwest Ohio. Thank you for what you've done.
Well, bless you and thank you both. This is wrapping up the show, Faith Alive, for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. And always we thank Annunciation Radio for allowing Catholic Charities to be on these airwaves with the Faith Alive show. They've got a couple of events coming up. We ask you to support them as well because they're a great apostolate in our diocese. So thanks so much. Until next week, God bless.
You've been listening to Faith Alive with Rodney Schuster. For more information about Catholic Charities programs and services, visit CatholicCharitiesNWO.org. You can listen to this and other episodes anytime on demand on the Annunciation Radio mobile app and at AnnunciationRadio.com.